What concert costs just 45 cents, Chris?
What concert costs just 45 cents? I don't know.
50 Cent featuring Nickelback.
Oh, there it is. Finally. Dang it. The audio just took a second to load.
It was like a slight stutter. That almost would be funny, except it's funnier because you have to wait for the... Brilliant.
Well, because the drummer didn't get the joke. So it took him a second.
Oh my gosh. Welcome back to a special What's the Best Thing You Watched? Because it's also What's the Worst Thing You Watched this week? Because we almost flipped it, but we're going to talk about both the best and worst thing that we watched this week because it's been one of those interesting weeks again. And it just felt like if we're going to have enough to talk about, we need to talk about the worst things, which was a lot. So I think we're going to have fun with that. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Ruben. I'm from the Ruby Tuesday. Over there we have Chris from Movies and Munchies. You can check out our channels and all our stuff that we got going on in our descriptions. But this has been a podcast / video cast that we've been doing now for about 2.5 years. And we every week talk about the best thing we watched. In the audio exclusive bit, we talk about a film that Chris and I either haven't seen or haven't seen for a long time. So there's an exclusive review with that content. We also talk about probably what's the worst thing we watched. That's normally where the segment goes in there.
Yes.
We talk about what we're looking forward to and what news is on the horizon, what's going on in the zeitgeist of the entertainment world. So there's a lot that we pack into this podcast, and we also go on tangents because we're two bearded men that love to go on tangents. So thank you for joining us. It means the world to us that you are sparing your time. I hope you find it informative and just fun. That's why we try and keep it light, try and keep it stupid, because why be serious in this day and age? There's enough seriousness to go around. Every week we do a quiz that we started a while ago, a movie quiz that Chris basically is the helm of that now, and he does the 3 questions, and people try and guess the answers, and I most weeks just go, I thought I knew movies, but then Chris asked these questions and I don't recognize those quotes, and nobody's fired him in the comments yet, so he's just going to keep going until you guys fire him. So maybe in a couple of weeks time I'll do a poll on how much percentage you would like him fired. But until then,
Power to the people.
Chris, who won last week's quiz?
Okay, like apparently last week was just way too easy because, yeah, all on the same day. Tara Briscoe, Red Comet, Chris Retzlaff, and Nostromo got them all right. And then the Bunny Dojo got 2 out of 3. So,
oh, nice. Did you check on mine as well?
I did. I did. Yes. And so it's
nice.
just, okay. Well, it's good, though. I mean, come on. We don't want it too hard,
This just makes me feel
right?
bad because I only got like 2. So,
well, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so the answers to last week, Cool Runnings, Home Alone, and then Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And so the common tie theme within that was John Candy. This week have another... there is a theme to it, but it's probably going to throw you because not all of the quotes come from that. Well, no, they all come from the theme, but not necessarily what you might think it is.
Right.
That was stupid. Anyway, let's go. Are you ready? Would you like to guess? Yes? Okay, cool. All right, number 1. Doctor, question that's always bothered me and a lot of people. Mayflower, combined with Philadelphia. A no-brainer, right? Because this is where the Mayflower landed. Not so. It turns out Columbus actually set foot somewhere down in the West Indies. Little known fact.
Cool.
Okay. If he came to me, I would help him, but he wouldn't come to me. It's not his style.
I recognize it.
But yeah, it's a tiny, yeah. Okay. Number 3. All right, listen up, because I'm only going to say this once. Fear is a 4-letter word, ladies. You want to go pee-pee in your big boy slacks? Keep it to yourself.
Did you say that with a straight face? Pee-pee in your big boy slacks? Nice. Great. Okay. All right. As always, let us know your answers in the comments below, and Chris will let us know who won and whether he's been fired or not. I'm going to ask a question.
Yes.
Last week, I asked what animal you wanted to turn into.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? You chose... What did you choose?
Between a kookaburra and a panda.
And I chose a type of whale that lives 200 years. So
yes.
That's cool. We're going with the same, but slightly different. What mystical animal would you want to turn into if you could? So you can take all the fantasy realms, choose one mystical animal. I had some interesting comments last week of like what people chose. So I'm interested to see what people would be this time around.
Yeah, you know, I would say like a unicorn, but I think those could have existed. And funny fact, we were talking about this week because people don't believe that narwhals are real.
I know, that's so funny. I mean, to be honest, if you've never seen a narwhal, you would think somebody just stuck a horn on their head.
Sure, but we live in... Okay, anyway, it baffles me.
You've seen a swordfish, right? But why is that?
Have you seen the... there's this one... What is it? We were talking about sea creatures a couple of weeks ago, my family, while we were eating dinner, which was a weird conversation, but which then we all pulled out our phones and looked at things. But there is this fish that comes from like the very depths, utterly black, like teeth are black, eyes are black, and it was just horrifying. I mean, because if you were down there, first off, it's going to be dark, and then you would never see this thing come up and just. So I think unicorns could have actually existed because narwhals exist. And cool. I do believe that dragons did exist. I don't know if they flew, but, because, hey, I mean, we have dinosaurs, so why not? Right. I'm going to go probably with centaur.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of Centaur World?
That did pop into my head after I said it, but
Doug,
or actually, I'd be a Moltar. That's
Moltar.
I'm comfortable, Doug.
Comfortable, Doug. Oh my gosh! So it's a centaur.
A centaur, yeah. I think why I don't really know why. I mean, maybe because I could run really fast and go places, and then I could just poop wherever I wanted to and not even worry about it. Because that's what horses do. They just walk down the street and go, and away you go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would you classify a centaur as a fantasy creature? Or would you classify centaurs as, like, are elves? Or are they just a race? Like orcs?
I mean...
They're all fantasy compared to humans.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's how I was taking it.
Yeah,
that it would be.
Yeah. I'm just setting the parameters, Chris. So
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Harry Potter is kind of fantasy, right? And there's a centaur in Harry Potter. Yeah, well, there you go. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's my justification.
Okay, so you'd be a centaur.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really difficult one. I love so many. I think a phoenix. I loved phoenix. They always have me interested in that. They have healing properties. They seem to have understanding. Like they're quite. I don't know if it's emotional understanding, but there's a hierarchy to their fantasy lore. How Gandalf uses them, or how they're described in other books or shown, and they seem to be able to either travel through like teleport, so they can just go in between realms and then appear as where you are. That or a griffin, because I've always liked the combination of creatures.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the phoenix, I mean, gosh, you're never going to die.
Right? Just keep being reborn.
Yeah. A griffin would be fun, and so would that owlbear thing from D&D.
Oh, so cool. I want to be that. Yeah, it's great. No one's going to mess with you.
No, not at all. Oh, man.
All right, so let us know what your fantasy creature you would choose to be. Should we dive in?
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
What? Oh no, that's exactly what I was going to say. But I was just like, are we going to die? I was going to be different than, are we ready to talk about the best thing we watched this weekend?
Either or is fine. I just want to know what Forrest Gump's email address is.
Forrest Gump's email. I don't know.
One Forrest one. On the terribleness of that joke, should we talk about the worst things that we watched?
I think so. That way we can end on kind of a high note.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the one that's obviously hurt us the most this week, which I presume is Meg 2. Dude.
My bar was set so low for this movie for enjoyment.
I was really excited to go and watch this movie. I've seen the trailer. I knew it was going to be stupid. I just expected like a little bit better than the first one, like because it looked like they've been given more of a budget. So I thought if they can embrace that and then take the good stuff from the first one and then go what actually makes a good shark movie. When I came home, I said to Kirsten, "Well, that was interesting. This is an adjacent shark movie." Because the last 20 minutes are the shark movie. The first hour of like 40 minutes was just 10 other movies.
I was so mad when we left. I mean, I was excited. So I took my whole family to see it, and there were no screeners. So we paid and we went, and it was just like, that is 2 hours of my life I can't get back. My wife, luckily, she was able to sleep through it. She slept through parts of it, and I think my daughter-in-law slept through parts of it too. I couldn't even laugh at some of the stupidity. Like, there were a couple points that I did, but we were promised from the trailers 3 Megs, and that was gonna that's how you amp up what was done in the first one, right? We've already been established that these exist now. Not only that,
we were promised an apex.
Yes. And they didn't do anything with that. And somebody in the comments actually reminded me too, what was up with the beginning where they show the strength of the suit where he punches through concrete, this huge concrete block? They never used that. Okay. The bar is set so low for this, right? We did not go in expecting anything great. I just wanted fun. I wanted a big shark movie with over the top action, Jason Statham doing stupid stunts, taking on all of these sharks. And you're right, for the last 20-ish minutes, that's kind of what we get. But before that, I mean, you have, what is up with that corporate espionage type of storyline?
Who thought that was, it's like putting humans in Transformers movies. It's like, we want a shark movie. It's called The Meg. I want to watch a movie about The Meg, not about all these other people building stuff. I don't care about any of that. And you've also not given us any backstory for them, really. So why do I care about them? I don't know. Well, am I meant to be sad that you're dying? I don't know who you are. Who are you?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I don't know who you are. I really think that they showed all of the best scenes in the trailer. Yes. I mean, they showed the girl who, she's on her cell phone and the Meg comes through the wall and, eats her. I'm like, okay, well, I already knew that was coming. That would have been kind of at least a fun surprise, but no, that was, and then Jason Statham doing his barrel roll with the jet ski and I walked out. When I walked out, I told my family, I was like, I had a better time in the theater watching Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh my gosh.
Because
at least it knew what it was. This film didn't know what it wanted to be. It literally was 10 movies. It couldn't decide what it wanted to be.
It promised something and then gave us something completely different. Whereas Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey promised us stupid and gore. And we got stupid and gore.
Also, I have so many questions. Like, I know you can't apply logic to this movie at all, but there were so many things that I was like, really? You died from that, but you still alive. Like, also the guy that they killed. Oh, okay, I can't. There was a guy that I thought was dead that somehow managed to come back, and I was like, didn't they take the last sub from him? Like, that was his escape vehicle. How did he? They left him way in the trench.
He was in a suit. He was in a pressurized suit. Remember, and he rode the thing up.
He rode what? The trench,
like
the bubble,
like a buoy type of thing. Yeah.
Oh, right. I guess I missed that bit.
My question is though, and this is logic. So it's a stupid question. First off, okay, and I shouldn't apply any rationale to this, but I am genuinely just confused and would like to know the explanation for it.
Okay.
So the dinosaur looking things that are down in the depths. Mm-hmm. And then they are down. Then they are up on the island.
Yeah.
The pressure difference. Those things should have been like balloons. They should have looked like a giant
Every
blimp.
single fish that we've had that's come up dies. I don't know if you've ever seen on the news actual dinosaur fish that somehow reach the surface. They live for like half an hour and then they're dead. They didn't explain that at all. Especially if these are below the trench. Like, it's even worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
There's one bit where they try to explain how you can survive outside in that pressure if you equalize. I think that's bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm calling bull crap.
You just have to get rid of the air out of your sinuses. That's what they said.
Your brain and in your body. You can't get rid of all of it.
Your oxygen has blood in it. I mean, at least remember in The Abyss.
Yeah.
They have a good basis because they're down deep. And what do they have to do to equalize to make that pressure is they have to then
it's like
they have to drown basically and swallow the liquid oxygen so that, and it's like your body will remember it like lived for 9 months.
Yeah, you're in your mother's womb again, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. It will remember, just go, and you see that horrifying as they drown kind of.
As they drown. And they're like, I can do this. I think I'd die, to be honest.
Oh, I would have too. But that makes sense though, right? I mean, at least how that's set up. But yeah, no.
It's a theory that could work. Yeah.
I at least buy it because the logic follows all the way through in their rules. Here, you still have air in your lungs. It doesn't matter about your sinuses. And I still didn't understand that. How are you sucking in the air and then only blowing it out of your sinuses and not out of your lungs as well? We have gone down a path of
trying to apply logic to the dumbest film. Yeah, it's not going to work, Chris. Also, when we eventually get to the kaiju bit, why don't they actually let us see them fight? There's like this little bit of frothy water in between the two monsters, and then they're like gone. I'm like, this is what you were building up to.
Because the CGI was not good, and you're in daylight now, so you have to.
You can't hide it in the ocean.
Yeah, except they tried to because they made the ocean at that little of depth so dark in the middle of the day. I mean, light is going through it.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
This is in competition for the worst movie of the year.
Yeah, I think it's up there.
And definitely one of the biggest disappointments. Just
probably the worst movie with biggest budget. Like some films, you understand small budget, terrible film.
You
can kind of get it, but huge budget, big cast. I was watching clips from the first one, and in comparison, first one's great. Like, I was like, holy crap, this is so much better than the second one. What happened?
Right. And see, and the first one it's not good, but it's fun.
No.
Like I
but there's also a more emotional, they actually make some emotional attachment. There's characters there that you care about.
Yeah.
In this one, I'm just like,
I mean, they eat more people in this one, but I don't care.
Well, the people aren't real in this one. There's no blood. There was more blood in the first one. than there was in this one. And the first one had barely any blood. When the whale, when the thing, the I say whale because it's as big as a whale, the Meg is going chomp, 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 and I'm like, I don't care. Like it's a nice visual, but like, you needed to show an arm and somebody screaming and their head splitting in two or something. It needed to be visceral. So they catered for everybody, and then actually what they ended up doing is catering for no one.
Yeah. Well, and I understand why they go PG-13 route versus R, but I've seen other PG-13 movies that are
way more
bloodier
than that. Yeah, absolutely.
This was animated violence. This wasn't even like, there wasn't anything real
Talking about
in it.
anime, there's PG anime 13s that are way more violent, that have lots of like gore and blood and nudity and what have you. There's no excuse really for this film not to be good, because there's 10 expensive movies in here. They just needed to settle on one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, what else was poo for you this week?
Okay. I'm only going to be able to talk about a little bit of this, and I did not watch your review because I thought I was going to actually have the stamina to finish it.
Oh, you didn't even finish it. Okay.
No. So this may not be on your worst list, but I'm going to actually need some of you to at least fill me in on some of it.
Sure.
I was really looking forward to this movie because, I like zombie things. Mm-hmm. Zom 100, whatever the rest of it was, something of the dead. I got about 20 minutes into this, and I just did not care. I and I wanted to. So that was the thing. I was looking forward to it. First off, I wanted to see this, and then I was willing it to be better. You know what I mean? You know how you stick with things and you want them to be good, so you continue to watch them and you just hope that they're going to get better, or investing or whatever. So what did you think of it? Was this would this qualify as the worst, or
maybe? It's interesting because I think in hindsight I'd probably even lower my score, because I had the ability to have seen half of the anime series first. So I think I was comparing, knowing what should have been in it and what the characters are actually like. So I was like, oh yeah, there's that bit which they didn't put in there. Oh yeah, there's that bit which they didn't put in there.
Go ahead. We'll cut this audio part of mine out.
Okay. Yeah, so...
Actually, wait. Let me come right back. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, so I think Chris should definitely dye his beard multicolors for his next tribute. You know how yearly he does where he shaves his hair? I think it would be quite fun if he shaves his hair and dyes his beard different colors. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. I think that is a great idea. If he does it, I will dye my hair, my beard different colors as well. Because that's just the best way to kind of change things up and make people really understand what you believe in.
Okay. Where were we? Zom 100. Okay.
Zom 100. Yeah, so the anime is continuing to air every episode. The thing that this movie does wrong, or maybe does right, I think it almost expects people to have watched the anime so that you can fill in the gaps yourself. Because there's literally 2 episodes, so you're talking about 40 minutes of our guy at the workplace, in the worst workplace ever. And the movie, it goes, he's had a terrible workplace, and it's like 10 minutes in and he's done. And it's like very little background as to the hardship that he's gone through. So by the time the zombie stuff kicks in, you are so ready for him to be free of the world, so that when he literally goes, Yatta! And the zombies suddenly come in with their colorfulness. And one of the big things that they didn't transfer into the movie is that the zombies are part of the artwork. Because like, instead of like gory blood, it's like pink, yellows, and blues. They should totally have just embraced that and kept it in. It would have been something different. So when you get in the movie, you're like, okay, so he's had a hard time, but the world has gone to zombies. Now, why do I care? I don't know if you've got any further, but there were a couple of characters that he joins. There's three of them that travel to get together eventually. You see that, and that's much more entertaining. There's a young girl that doesn't want anybody. She doesn't want to be reliant on anybody, which makes it interesting when she has to be reliant on them. There's his best friend. They were part of the American football team. He's the linebacker.
I saw him having dinner with them.
Yeah. Okay. So that
Okay.
they sort out their friendship and they go traveling and they hear about an aquarium that is a safe haven. And so that's the first half of the movie. Once you reach the aquarium, it's what's going on in the aquarium is the second half of the movie. Had you stayed until the end, you would have seen a creature feature that was so much better than the Meg. There was a shark that is something like out of Junji Ito's creations, because it's a shark with legs, zombie legs and feet, and they have a big fight with it, and it's awesome. And so had the film not embraced the craziness, there was the last 20 minutes that really worked, which was a lot of fun. And that's the sort of craziness they should have been embracing, what the anime is like. So they got it right for the last 20 minutes, but it does take its time getting there.
Yeah, that was I wasn't sold on it, and that is a bummer because it because I did miss that shark.
I kind of want you just to go back forward and just go watch that scene because I'm going
so
to
now because it's
brilliant.
Very intriguing to
and you're also like, how is that working? That makes no sense.
Well, I don't know. The way you were describing it with the characters reminded me a bit of Zombieland. You know?
Oh yeah. So there is this journey and they're traveling, they're surviving. What I liked about the journey in this one, though, is that they start ticking off the list of the 100 things to do before you're dead. So there's a couple of montages of them, like even paragliding, all sort of stupid things while zombies are around. And I thought that really kind of knitted you in with the characters. So you kind of like the characters then, because they're giving time for you to spend with the characters. So when stuff goes wrong, you care about that.
You care about it,
The boss that is really sucky. He's at their aquarium, just to give you an idea of they do have a big bad that kind of works its way back in, which was great. I liked that a lot. I thought, I needed something else for me to. Zombies are a thing in the world, fine, but who else do I hate? Because then you have the good guys. Yeah, so not quite the worst thing, but almost there.
Okay. Maybe I should have given it more of a chance. I don't know.
Can I move on?
Yes.
So very disappointing thing for me this week. And I'm surprised to be talking about it because when I walked out, I thought, that was okay. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, that wasn't okay. Okay, so this is the new Ninja Turtles movie, Mutant Mayhem. The animation is beautiful. It's stunning. It also does its own thing, which I really liked. It's not quite the Spider-Man animation. It's not quite arcane. It's in between. It's when you're watching it, it almost feels like it's stop motion, beautiful from comic to screen. It's like you're watching a moving comic, but that has really artistic designs. If I talk about the positives, the characters that they chose to use are from the outskirts of turtle lore. So even the big bad, who is played by, I think it's LL Cool J, he is Superfly, and he was a minor character in Turtles, and he is amazing. Everybody's voice work, I think, is excellent. Even the Turtles, a different type of Splinter. The thing is, and I didn't know this, it's an Origins film again. So we go through all of them, how they turn from turtles to ninjas. And it also, it embraces a story that we haven't seen really in the Turtles. But I think they spend too much time in the story, because then what happens, the big arc of the story is really basic. Turtles take on bad guy and try to come into their own as teens. But it focuses a lot on them wanting to be normal. Because they were, and what is normal? Even that doesn't make sense, because they were turtles. The ooze changes them and gives them consciousness to a human level, and so they just want to go to high school and be amongst them, be accepted. Excuse me as I die. Be accepted for who they are, even though they're different. So that theme is beautiful. It's wonderful. But it spends the majority of the core of what they're trying to establish and get you to love about the Turtles is that. So what it comes down to at the end, you're like, oh, so they didn't do anything new. The film I want to see, which isn't new either, is at the end, I think it's the end credit scene, they showcase another character that we've seen before, but in this art style, I think would look amazing to see them go up against this character.
Nice.
The fighting scenes, some real great nods to old Turtle nostalgia, games and toys. There's literally the Turtle Ninja car, which is basically the pizza slice on top of the car, and the yellowness, that's in there. A character will say Cowabunga. There's a gecko that does skateboarding. There's just lots of just nods to old characters. It just doesn't have the heart I think they wanted it to. So they spend so much time on us, like the story of them wanting to be normal, is that they don't put enough heart and emotional content in there. So it feels like it's weird, because I heard Jeremy Jones's review. He says that he feels like kids will really like this, but I was like, I'm not sure they will. I think maybe like teens will like it, but it almost feels like more intelligent usage for, it's like, oh yeah, remember when you liked the Turtles? What happens if the Turtles, were really thought about and were accepted? So there's like an adult theme there that may be over really young kids' heads, but then the story isn't really for youngsters either. And I was like, well, who's this for? Are they trying to pitch it for the original people that loved the Turtles in the 80s?
Yeah.
Or is this like trying to bring everybody in it? I think more and more studios are trying to do this, where they're trying to encompass it and be open for everybody, all inclusive. If you're open to every demographic, then if you have an established story, if you have an established characters that are already some way, then you end up losing those people that love that already, taking away what made it great. I mean, it's not to say that's a terrible film. It isn't. There are amazing fight sequences. There's a fight sequence with Splinter that looked phenomenal. There's a funny gag about the Turtles being milked that wasn't funny for ages until they did something that really was. So it's clever comedy writing. You're like, oh, that's not funny. I don't know why they're doing that. Don't know why they're doing. And then later, it just kind of like, oh, you've been setting that up for ages, which is nice. Brilliant. So I was like, oh, okay, that's really, really clever. So there's all these things, like the score definitely, or I should rather say the soundtrack is not something that young kids, not all young kids, but most young kids will just don't know. Like, it's old school R&B, because, got LL Cool J there. Think about that sort of music that's like really cool, groovy. There's an art style, and with that art style comes this sort of score and music that works well for the theme, the tone that they're going for. So there's so much in this that I loved, and then I still came out feeling like meh, which was like kind of a disappointment. I've seen some people hail this as the greatest Ninja Turtle movie of all time, and that may be the case if this is the only Ninja Turtle movie you've seen, and perhaps the old 90s one. I'd be like, oh, okay. But even the 90s one I've got nostalgic time for, because it's practical, it's costumes, it's the dialogue and lines and the score and the acting that worked for its time, early 90s, late 80s. This, again, feels like it doesn't know where to put what genre, whose demographic to place itself in.
One correction, Ice Cube.
Not Ice Cube. Yeah. Not all rappers sound alike. They're not all the same. Yeah. Ice Cube.
That's a bummer that it kind of misses the mark on, like, trying to appeal to every age group.
Yeah.
And
because a lot of the time I just thought it was, oh, this is for adults. And then I was like, oh, this is so young. I think Pixar used to find a balance. It's a real art. Like, it's not easy to do.
No.
get adults to love what's going on because they understand the deeper meaning and the joke, but also to have the animation and jokes in there that kids love.
Yeah, it's a tough.
Not easy.
Yeah, it's a tough gig to balance that out. Yeah, I'm glad though that the art style. I mean, that
art style.
Like when I saw the trailer, it's like, whoa, this is. I mean, we're watching. I love that things have been breaking the traditional animation style. You know, and so we've had like Arcane, and we've had Spider-Verse, and this, and you know, a handful of others that just they've said, no, we're not sticking to the rules anymore. We can do mixed media within this, or different types, and Puss in Boots even. That was a great one too.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. Who knew a third part to a series that everybody thought was mediocre could end up being so good? Like, this third one is the best one in the series.
Yeah, you've got heart, you've got a villain, and then the art style is like, whoa.
The villain is terrifying.
Yeah, we are in a good time for animation.
We are.
I think the stories are not all consistent, but that's again the same with all movies. You know what I mean?
And Spider-Man was going to be at the top of my list this year for animation, but I remember saying in my review, but only if we get to watch second part soon.
Yeah, which now no date, so
could be 5 years away or longer.
Which I really thought they would have had the second part written at least. You know, that because you end mid-action, so it's not like you kind of have an idea where you're going, right? I mean, you have. I don't know. Okay. All right. The next on my list, which is probably on your list as well, so there was a Polish action film.
Oh, good Lord. I had actually forgotten about this one.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So it came out on Netflix, and I was intrigued by it. Again, I thought, this could be fun. I don't know exactly what's going on, but hey, whatever. It's called Soulcatcher. I really felt like as I was watching this, and I did finish this one because I kept thinking, surely it's gonna, and then no, it didn't. I felt like I was missing half the plot. Like that half of the story wasn't being told to us. Like maybe I had seen like this is the sequel, and all of the other information I should already know or something.
Netflix do that sometimes. So
yeah, I was so. I don't know. There was just so much development that was lacking from the story to understand what's going on. And like, I mean, you can follow along. You see the steps that the characters are taking, you understand that. That's not what I mean. It's just the fact that why? What are we doing this? I mean, you have such obvious arcs that happen, but it feels all jumbled and very rushed in spots because you'll have just this thing happen, action sequence, which the action sometimes was fun. Sometimes that was immersive, and it was, not every time. And some of the cutting was like, it was confusing because I couldn't tell who was coming from where or where they were coming from. But then some of the throws and everything were fine. But then it felt like they had a whole movie and they were like, well, that's too long. Let's just literally pull pieces out and we'll just put it together. And does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
I have my notes here. Makes no sense. Illogical decisions like splitting up. What? Why? Fight scenes cut so much there's now no need to show too much. Acting is laughable. Score doesn't make sense a lot of the time and feels like an old cheap video game from the 80s, but at the same time the soundtrack is great. The cinematography is beautiful sometimes, like with the place where the guy is on top of the other guy and we have the ash and fire going, but then other times you can't even see what's going on because they're so much in the dark.
Yes.
Every time I thought there was something good about this, I was just like, oh no.
Yeah, the device that they're there to get, steal, destroy, whatever, was unique.
Certainly,
it had potential there.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it. I thought the initial, but it just seemed iffy as to when and who got affected. Don't worry, he was just in the skirts of it, so he's only slightly affected. Does it work that way? Really? How does it know just to slightly affect you?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the splitting up makes no sense. And they did that quite often. Yeah. There was a character that that maybe I blinked and missed it, but he looked like he was set up to be a traitor. And I don't know if I don't remember if he actually was or not, or maybe he just died. I don't really remember.
The guy that joined the team?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was the traitor. He's the guy that shot someone else as well.
Oh, that's right. Okay. See that? Yeah. I was just like,
he was obviously the traitor.
Yeah, well, he was too. And then, the other guy has, who has the beard, who had the house that they go to recuperate at and everything. Yeah. He's so distrusting. Yeah. But then, I don't know.
Yeah. None of it made sense, really. I saw a lot of people in the comments talking about how, like, finally the wife got rid of the husband. And I'm like, no, she betrayed him. Right? She was with another guy at the end. She'd gotten her life back at the expense of someone else, which is the whole thing that we're fighting against eventually. And he becomes what I presume is the alpha of the group now, of the which I guess they would class as a terrorist group, but really it's I don't know, eco-terrorist, like but
IMF type of.
Yeah, I guess. He learned how to fight quick.
Yeah. Well, in the other the other deception, which the ooh dun dun dun, this person is really bad now, and you're like, oh yeah, really? Okay. All right.
Did you guess that the daughter was the daughter, or did you think it was her just lying, trying to cover up? Because they thought they had captured the leader of the company, but it turned out that it was her daughter.
I don't remember what I thought now. I've seen a couple other bad things since then.
Your brain is so mush. Yeah, I just remember thinking, is that really the big reveal you're going for? Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, and I went in with middle expectations. Because I didn't know what this could be or what it was really going to be. I didn't have high expectations. I didn't have low expectations. I was just like, okay, let's just go into this and see. I mean, it looks like it could be fun. And it was the story choppiness, I think, and the lack of connection that I felt with the characters. Yeah. Because think about even that fight in the beginning where it's two people
worst.
That
was the worst.
Wouldn't it be so much, had they moved that later on? You know what I mean? Give us time with these people.
But even the way they cut and edited the fight where people have been turned into zombie rage machines, there would literally be one guy looking one direction and nothing was there. And he turns to look at his friend and they'd swing back and the zombie was on him. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to see them running and then attack. You can't just be there. And they keep doing that. And I'm just like, this is so crap. Come on.
Yeah. And I wanted the emotional pull because I didn't feel like I understood what they were going for when two people have to fight and the dilemma of that. But it didn't feel...
Yeah, because we haven't had any time with the we know later on how much he cares. Like, I'm really sorry, and he's upset, and so then it's kind of like a revenge thing. But we still don't know anything. We haven't seen them on a proper mission, or like we've been given no real context. Yeah. Even the whole
because one is like only partially in the beam. You know what I mean? And so that means that this person could have been. But then it's explained away right away, and you're like, oh well, crap. Right, okay,
thanks. Yeah,
I felt something for a half second there.
Yeah. No, because machine. Yeah, like all right. Fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I did. There was too much going on that wasn't good or made sense or anything.
Yeah, I agree. That is all my poo, thankfully.
Thankfully, that's my poo too.
Okay. So we can talk about
should we
good stuff?
Change it up some and...
Yeah, be happy. All right, let me just open the door because I'm really, really warm.
Okay.
Right. I've got 3 things to talk about.
Wow. I have 1.
Okay, so I will go first then.
Yes.
Okay, I will start off with a little rant. But don't worry. This is a good thing. All right,
Fair enough.
I say we, and I'm presuming this is accurate. Most people love Stahelski for John Wick, and most people love John Wick, right? Mm-hmm. Good director, great story, nice way to do it. All right, what if I were to tell you that in 2008 there was a 3-lettered word movie starring Brian Cox about a man and his dog, old man and his dog. 3 kids come, I say kids, like late teens, early 20s, shoot his dog. Man tries to right this action because the dog's been with him for 40 years and the dog was the last thing his wife gave him before his son and wife died from something horrific. So then this man goes to the father of the son and tries to right things, but the father is as messed up as his son, and things go awry, and it ends up him with the law trying to beat it that way, but it ends up in a big gun battle at the end. There's also a muscle car that the son owns. What if I were to tell you that was around in 2008, and it's a film called Red? And I'd be like, yo,
wait,
Stahelski. 2008, not the film Assassin's Red. It's called Red, and it stars Brian Cox and Tom Sizemore. A reclusive man sets out for justice and redemption with 3 troublesome teens when 3 troublesome teens kill his dog for no good reason. This is John Wick before John Wick. 100% Stahelski saw this film and thought, you know what if he was an assassin? There is too much of a coincidence in this movie for it to be coincidence.
Okay, so Derek Kolstad wrote John Wick.
Okay.
And he definitely did not write
He did not write. Steven Susko and Jack Ketchman wrote Red.
Ooh, wow.
Right? Did I just...
And it's off of... Well, it's off a novel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know. Let me know if you guys have seen the movie Red. Not the ex-Assassins movie, but one in 2008. Before
it
the
also has Brian
movies.
Cox in it, though.
That also has Brian Cox in it. And it stars a few other actors in it that you'd be like, oh, wow. It's got Noel Fisher, Kim Dickens, Richard Rayl, you recognize him. Obviously, Tom Sizemore. So a few others.
Kyle Gallner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that...
Robert Englund.
What? Oh, my gosh, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so apart from all of that, it's actually good. It's obviously much slower pace. It's not an assassin film, but he was in the military at one point. He has a certain way of being. He wants to make things right. He's not going to let things go. There is a scene where he's telling his story of what happened to his wife and son. Dude, I'm sure that's what they used in the script when they were trying to get people to act for the lead role as Brian Cox's character. They wanted to see what people could act. It's a long monologue, but the camera pans in slowly. It's like starts at like medium wide and eventually ends up just on his face as he's telling this story. And it's an incredibly harrowing story. But if you've ever seen Brian Cox pull out something deep dark and emotional, which I'm sure you have because he's been around for a while. He does such a great performance. It is old and it feels like a TV movie. When you watch it, it's like, yeah, this could have been aired on TV like first time. But I was surprised. It's just very good. It's dark and depressing, but
how'd you stumble on this?
No idea. I was watching something else that I'm going to talk about, and it just came up as like suggested. So I clicked on it, and
okay.
Then I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I was like, what?
Yeah, that's
what?
Yeah, that's wow. That is a very, very, very close storyline,
right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll be interesting. I wonder if anybody has ever questioned.
I do wonder this.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. What's your best thing you watched this week?
Mine, it was a movie I got to see at Sundance, and then I just rewatched it again this week. It came out in theaters. It's it's more of an indie film, directed by Randall Park. So, cool. Which
I know that name.
I like him as an actor, which I think he's really funny and he's great. He uses again the backdrop of like the Bay Area here in California, and so, which is nice as somebody who lives here, that, you know, places that I recognize or at least are familiar kind of with.
I've been there.
Yeah. And so, excuse me, the movie's called Shortcomings, and it stars Justin Min, who he's been in a bunch of things, but probably one of the things that most people will recognize him from is he has been in the Umbrella Academy.
Oh.
And then we have Sherry Cola, who was in Joyride. She played Lolo in Joyride, the best friend who's the artist. And this is really, it's a character study more than anything. I mean, it's a comedy, kind of a darker comedy. For me, it was not really laugh out loud for the majority of it. I mean, it's amusing in parts, but really what it is we're watching the character of Ben. Funny enough, his name's Ben in this one also.
Hilarious. Go
through kind of this, not really an existential crisis, but he's got to figure himself out, and he's confronted with the shortcomings in his life, you know, where he's overly critical, or he's this or this, you know, he's too cynical, he's, you know, just angry or not driven, not motivated, whatever that is. And so he's forced to at least be aware of these. And then the movie, you spend part of this movie like, is he actually going to address them? Is he going to begin to change things around? Because if he doesn't, first off, that's going to suck. I mean, the movie's going to be terrible because he's not a likable character, even though he's our main protagonist. Like, you know what I mean? So he's not nice and not good and not even relatable, really. Or at least somebody that you would want to say, yes, I can totally relate to that, because he's just so off-putting for the majority of it. You know what I mean? You wouldn't want to admit that, yeah, I can relate to that because that says something about you. But there's Sherry Cola is his best friend, and she gets to speak some wisdom into him. She has her own shortcomings. I like that she also addresses hers. She gets to her realization and fixing faster than he does. And that's not a big deal. That's not a negative. It's just, we see characters realizing where they are falling short, where there are deficits within their character or their life or their attitude, whatever that is. It's filmed really well. I mean, it's nice. You have some side characters that add a little bit of fun to it. Most of them don't have much development on them, so they're not really consequential. I mean, they help to add to his narrative, but by themselves, they're just kind of little distractions here and there. You know, there's one, and I mentioned this in my review. Ben manages an art house theater, and Jacob Batalon is one of the employees
Sawyer's
there.
in this, yeah.
Yeah, and they're sitting there talking, and him and this other guy, the guy from Cocaine Bear, I can't remember, Stice is his last name, I think, or Strice. It's like they have a conversation exactly like what you would think people at a movie theater would have a conversation about. They're, especially an art house one, because they're a little more pretentious. They're a little more opinionated. They have, things, but then they get into this conversation of, one of them says, or they're arguing over whether or not superhero movies are like cinema. And Jacob Batalon and he's like, but the Superman movie was really, really good. Yeah. Or not Superman, sorry, Spider-Man.
Okay.
And which is like, oh, good for you. You inserted that. That was funny. And, keep going there. The movie it's heartwarming in spots. While we don't see the full outcome of Ben's arc, we see a shift, and we see a transition where he is making steps to improve, to change, to address these things in his life. And so by the end of it, I mean, it has a hopeful outlook to it. A lot of the movie is more, not depressing, but just it's on the lower side. I mean, it's kind of melancholic a little bit. I really enjoyed it. The characters are great. The humor, again, it's amusing and some chuckle-worthy moments here and there. But I think really it's the character study, the examination of ourselves. That's what really then sells it and makes it kind of like intriguing and makes the characters rich, especially being with Ben and or Justin Min and Sherry Cole, those two. So, yeah. It'll probably be on digital very soon because...
Yeah, I can't see it anywhere in the UK, so we'll probably have to wait for it.
Yeah, I think
digital.
It's Searchlight Pictures. So it's an indie arm of Disney, and it's coming out, even though the Meg is out, and TMNT, two movies that are at least probably going to overshadow it. And then you still have Barbie and Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible. Yeah. So... Yeah,
good luck to it. Probably do better on digital, I imagine.
I think so. I think it's more accessible that way too. More people will be apt to go, oh, that looks kind of cool. It's nice that that Randall Park, I mean, that you're getting Asian American representation, from an Asian American director, stars, the whole, even the storyline, because some of the cultural norms fit in there a little bit. They're addressed in small parts here and there, but it's very accessible to everybody, and really it can be enjoyable by anybody other than bigots. So
nice, that's cool. I will look for it when it's available. Yeah, 'cause I can't see a digital release either yet. So
yeah. Okay.
Let me just change my battery.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen this film, Chris, that I'm going to talk about. I haven't seen you review it. It's just come out on Amazon Prime. It's a director that's worked with Gerard Butler a number of times already. He's done Greenland, which I really liked. I think that's a very underrated kind of end-of-the-world film, because it has more heart and it's like more down to earth. I thought that was very good. He also did Angels Fallen, which I thought was actually a lot of fun. This one, I was very surprised at how good it was. Mostly because it's a story we've seen done a number of times, but it's because of the angles of the storylines of what it takes. So you're with your protagonist, but you see what happens with all the others that are interacting with your protagonist. You get to see their kind of stories as well, and how what our protagonist is doing affects them. So it's called Kandahar. It stars Gerard Butler. It's a CIA operative, and his translator flee from special forces in Afghanistan after exposing a covert mission. So it's directed by Rick Roman War, and stars a number of people who you will recognize but maybe don't know, like, oh, I recognize them from somewhere. One of the others who's also pretty good in this, doesn't have a huge role, but when he's on screen he's great, Travis Fimmel. You'll know him from some of our favorites, Warcraft, Vikings, just loads. Like, people who know Travis will be like, hey, it's Travis. Obviously Vikings is one of the bigger ones that people will know him from. Beautiful blue eyes, a very good looking man. It's unfair. So we start off with that traditional, we have a couple of spies undercover, and they're trying to take down an underground nuclear facility, and these spies have their aliases exposed. So now Jared Butler and his translator have to make it a certain distance. They can't get any help because they're technically not meant to be there, until they reach this, like, I think it's like a British base in the middle of the desert somewhere, where the British are actually on a mission themselves. They're rescuing some people, and so there's a plane going to be there. That's their extraction point. In amongst that, we see all these agencies that are trying to capture, because now their faces on the news in like Kandahar and the surrounding places, that these are the guys that, like, destroyed our facility. So you have ISIS, you have who are the other guys? Like ISIS, blah blah blah. Al Qaeda, thank you. Okay. ISIS and Al Qaeda all going for them. Their special forces units. You have the Afghanistan special force units also going after them. And in amongst all of those special units, there's normally someone that's in charge that you get to see more of their story. And when the film eventually wraps up, like its ending sequence, you get to see what has happened and the consequences of just this one thing, like the consequences of everything that's happening. So in one hand, it's the story of Gerard trying to get back home to his daughter and his wife, who has an estranged relationship anyway, because this is the type of man he is, this is the kind of job he does, and he's away a lot of time doing this type of stuff, and you can imagine the toll. We've seen lots of stories told by that. Then we get the story of the translator, like actually why he's there, why he's even doing this job, and it tells his story. So we have these amazing vistas and backdrops of deserts, and just beautifully shot. So it gives you it gives a feeling of foreboding all the time, because they have this immense pressure and people that are as skilled as Gerard is. It's not at any point saying these guys aren't skilled. Everybody is just brilliant at what they do. So it's very hard to keep, like, how are they going to survive? They're just trying to survive from one moment to the next. It's tense, but it's also like a calculated tenseness. But then you have these beautiful vistas of the deserts and the scenery, and it's a more emotional action film. That's how I can describe it best, because because the director takes the time to tell the stories of the others involved. It's not just looking at, hey, this is America saving the day. It's got, this is what happens in war, even in a sort of Cold War, the espionage war that now the world is so inundated with. That seems to be the way we do wars now, these little spats of things that we do secretly but not so secret. And then they show the consequences of that, which I thought was very brave. And one of the brave things they're telling in this film is where the Taliban has come back into, because this is on news like right now, the Taliban has come back into the town, taken over, not the town, the country. They said, if you kick out the Americans, like the American soldiers and the British UK forces, we won't go back on everything that women have managed to do. Like, this is what they promised them. But now if you're looking on the news, they've shut down all the female schools, women are not allowed to drive, obviously all the head coverings, everything is back on, no makeup, or everything that, like, the females were able to step forward out of the shadows of the men that were controlling them under the law of, the fake law of the Quran, which is not what the Quran says at all, is being controlled. There's this one sequence of dialogue with a little kid where another leader comes in and is asking where Gerard is. And this kid says, I make IEDs, he's literally probably 10. He said, I can make IEDs, I can fire AK-47s in this grenade launcher, I stop the infidels from coming towards. And he says, well, who told you this? And I said, but my leaders. And said, because they speak from the Quran. And it was such a powerful moment because he wasn't American. He was, I guess, a bad guy. He was saying, but that's not what the Quran teaches. Have you read it for yourself? And he said, maybe you should read it for yourself before you let others control you. And it was such a powerful moment. I just thought, dang. Like, so it has themes and messages in amongst the great action in the film. I was just really surprised. I was like, wow, Gerard is still doing his thing. Action man, anti-hero, which he does so well. He holds emotion, but then you come with a director who has a story to tell that's way more entertaining than I thought it was going to be.
I missed this when it was out on theaters here. And so now it's cool that it's available on digital. I had to check this out because I don't
even think it came to cinemas here in the UK.
Oh, really? It just didn't do it at all, huh?
No.
Yeah, no, it looked kind of cool. I just didn't know much about it, and so it wasn't one of those, high priority
I'd heard nothing.
Things.
It just came up on Amazon saying, hey, this is the new one from Gerard. It's like, oh, he's sometimes good. Let's give that a go.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Well, good suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, I have my last one, because you don't have any more, right?
I don't have any more, no.
I have a very special one for you, Chris.
Okay,
I'm very excited to talk about this one. And a few of our listeners will be excited that I'm covering this one. So, there's a couple of our Patreons that are Star Trek fans.
Oh,
They've been asking us to cover Star Trek for a bit, even in our Patreon sections, but I know they listen to this podcast. They'll be very excited that I'm going to be talking about episode 9 of season 2 of Strange New Worlds. Okay, so it's called Subspace Rhapsody. An accident with an experimental quantum probability field causes everyone on the USS Enterprise to break into song, but the real danger is that the field is expanding and beginning to impact other ships, allies, and enemies alike. Dude, this is an hour and 6-minute musical. It's phenomenal.
I love musical episodes.
I know, they're the best. And this does what Buffy did great. This is what I always want the TV episodes to do. They take everything that's gone wrong, the baggage that all the characters are carrying, and they put that into the story. So it's a narrative monologue almost, but in song form. So even Spock, the most grounded character, will break out into a ballad because he can't not. And the theory is of this: every time you get emotional, that's when you start singing. So there's a lot going on, because there's a lot always going on in Star Trek between the relationships, what's happening. So they all eventually break out. But there's real world consequences, real universe consequences, because it's affecting everything. The pulse of this, whatever they're doing, is growing larger. So all the other Federation ships are being infected. People are breaking into songs, and then they're what they happened to be at the border between Klingon space. So I kid you not, there is a moment when Klingons are doing a number, and it might be the greatest bit of TV ever. But as Klingons will do, is that they want to destroy it, but they don't know that will have even dire consequences. So there's big world consequences. I urge everybody who isn't even a fan of Star Trek to watch this musical episode. It's so good. Okay, in context, you probably won't have all the emotional bits, but it explains it very well. Like, you understand what's happening in those emotional bits. But just for singing and musical bits, the songs are great, and there's a big whole ship musical number at the end where everybody's dancing and singing and harmonizing, and it's just so good. This season has been astounding to me, because I feel like this is the season of TV that we normally get in the 6th or 7th season of a Star Trek series, where they take chances, they do some experimental stuff because it's fun. But we're only in the 2nd season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and I'm just so happy that they feel so comfortable in their writing skills and what the fans want, that they're really combining different things and different genres, motifs that are a lot of fun. For example, a couple of episodes ago, they did a time travel storyline, which combined have you heard of the Star Trek series Lower Decks, the animated series?
Yes.
Okay, so on Amazon there's like 3 seasons, maybe they're into the 4th. But the main characters from that go through a wormhole and end up in strange new worlds. So you have the animated characters that get turned into live action, who is the main character is from The Boys. He's the voice.
Jack Quaid's character.
Yeah, Jack Quaid's character.
I saw stills this week, and I didn't understand. I didn't know he was. Yeah, that's funny.
So he's the voice actor, but he ends up in a live action episode with a couple of others in there. So they're really like just going for the sci-fi, but going for the fun. Like I loved season 1, but season 2 is just doubling down on what's awesome about Star Trek. So, guys, if you're missing out, if you like Star Trek and you haven't started this yet, you're missing out, man. This is the best Star Trek's been in a long time. But obviously, musical episode, dude, you need to watch it. So good.
I love it when they do that. Scrubs is musical. My musical is still one of my favorite.
It's so good. Yeah, that and
episodes of ever. Yeah.
Once More with Feeling on Buffy was so good.
Nice. All right. Do you have anime this week?
I do have a little anime. So, over 9,000!
It's over 9,000!
This week, Netflix dropped the 2nd season of the raunchiest anime that's on the boundaries of being hentai. Like it doesn't push the boundaries, and considering how much gore and swearing and everything else there is, the fact that they draw back on the nudity part, like they get to the nudity bit and they allude to what's going on, but they're like, no, we're not gonna show. I'm just like, well, you're there anyway. You might as well show us what you're doing. Bastard Heavy Metal Dark Fantasy season 2 dropped, and it's great. That's my review.
Okay.
No, it doesn't have as many episodes as season 1 did. I think season 1 had like 24. This one has 15. The only thing I felt like is that they didn't finish the story. I know it's a particular arc that's adapted by the manga. And I thought this was going to be the last part of the arc for this one. I know there's more to come, but I thought it felt like they just left it hanging. So that was a little bit disappointing. Maybe they've split it up and not told us, and there's going to be another season. But it's garnered quite a decent following. People, like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. The thing about Heavy Metal Dark Fantasy is it's tongue-in-cheek. It doesn't shy away from the gore or the stupidness. It's when men were, like in the fantasy realm, men wore big armors and, swung big swords. And then the woman's armor is like little bits of clothing, and that somehow it's very old school that way. At the same time, it scores like almost heavy metal a lot of time, which is quite heavy metal dark fantasy. It's just bold in the way 80s anime used to be, in the way that you probably couldn't make this today, and yet they are making this today. Does that make sense? in the light of everybody like, you can't do that, you can't say that. They're just like, yes, we can, and we're doing it.
We're just gonna do it.
Yeah. You don't like it? Tough. And I have to admit that's pretty good. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't shy away from that. The story is it is what it is. It's, big bad trying to take on a big bad. Our main protagonist isn't necessarily a good guy. In fact, he claims he is the worst guy. But that makes him a good guy to be friends with, because if he's that powerful, then all the other big evils and monsters and wizards out there, don't really stand a chance.
Yeah.
So there is that. So if you like the first season, I think you will like season 2 on the same sort of level and animation style. Nothing's really changed. It just is more of the same. I have more news on anime. There is... what was it? I'm just trying to find it. I think it's coming this week. Yeah. The 7 Deadly Sins, Grudge of Edinburgh Part 2. So they split. For some reason, they split the movie and made it 2 movies, which is ridiculous because the first part's only an hour and the second part's an hour. And you think they would have just put it together. But yeah, that comes out this week. It's the CGI version of the movies. For some reason, they've gone like that 3D realm, which the original anime was 2D. And it once you get used to it, I think you're probably just happy that your characters are back, but I still would have preferred the old style. I am that way when it comes to anime. Or if you can mix it in a way that you're rendering 3D backgrounds, but the characters still look anime. Yeah. So now that I know that this is what I'm getting for part 2, maybe I can just enjoy the story more, because I know a lot of people just were like, Ruben, why don't you like this? This is great. Well, I'm old and grumpy, so that's
and I've only got half a story.
Yeah, just give me the full story, damn it.
That's weird that they break it up at an hour. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I could understand if it was 4 hours or, even 3.5 or something like that, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
On good news, did you ever watch the Castlevania animated series? They did a trilogy of
I've
anime.
heard that it's very popular and that, that it's done fairly well, but I've never seen it, no.
Okay, so it's very accessible to people that love vampire series and stories. Obviously, there's a big heritage of the games. People love the games, and when I came into this, I was like, wow, this is actually very good, and the story gets darker and crazier, but you do love the characters. So we had a trilogy, and I didn't know that we're getting any more, but this is Castlevania Nocturne, comes out 28th of September. France, 1972, begins a new animated series in the Castlevania universe from showrunner Kevin Cold, who did the original Castlevania, and Clive Bradley, who did Trapped. I don't know what that means. So I'm interested. I think this is a prequel, maybe?
Okay.
But anything in that universe, I'm very excited about. Yeah, there's a new anime coming, I think it's this year, it's pretty soon, called Akuma-kun. You can see the trailer for that on Netflix's site or their anime site on YouTube. It's a shonen anime, so it's going to be action, sci-fi fantasy, and it's Japanese. So that's about what I know from it, apart from what I've seen in the trailer. And I can just say that the animation and the background set pieces is like, have me at yes. I will watch that. If you're looking for an animated movie to watch, this week the Monkey King comes out. Jimmy O Yang, Bowen Yang, Jolie Hang report. Looks fun. Could be good.
Yeah, the animation looked pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is our anime section this week.
Okay. Cool. Anything else? Nope. All right. Well, hey, we thank you for tuning in, for listening, for sitting through some of the worst things we watched this week. Hopefully they were at least cautionary tales so that you don't put those on your watch list. If you did happen to see any of them, we would love to know your thoughts. Did you agree with us? Did you not agree with us? All comments are welcome. Don't forget, we have a Patreon opportunity at patreon.com/thebeardedones. The entry price is only £1. Gets you all access to all of the videos that we have, which there's over 60 of them. We have a few more tiers after that give you additional perks. But yeah, just head over to that. It's on the screen. It's in the description. And patreon.com/thebeardedones. Like Ruben said at the beginning, like, share, subscribe. Our YouTube channels, depending on which one you're watching, head over to the other one and do that. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday, me, Chris, Movies and Munchies. Coming up in our full audio portion, we are going to be talking about more news, the things that are coming out this week. And then also we're going to be discussing a movie that I had never seen before. Last week I watched my first ever Studio Ghibli film, and this week I watched another Studio Ghibli film. So two in a row. And so we're going to be talking Howl's Moving Castle. So yeah, if you want to see that, yeah, you can listen wherever you happen to check out podcasts. We're on just about every platform. All you have to do is search The Best Thing We Watched This Week. We're there. If you do go there, and you never have before, if you could rate and review us also, that would be huge. With that, yeah, we will see you next week. All right? Take care.